Ladies and gentlemen, don't tell people your problems. You want to know why you shouldn't tell people your problems? Let me give you a lesson from my life. You see, I ran the highest stakes poker games in the world. $1 million hands, private rooms with men who could buy and sell you without blinking. And do you know what I learned? People don't care about your problems, at least not in the way you think they do. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. All I had was ambition and a burning need to prove I could be more than just the skier with the broken dreams. I thought that if I shared the struggle, the late nights, the anxiety, the mistakes, I'd find people who understood. That they'd empathize, even take me under their wing. But what I discovered is this: when you tell people your problems, they don't see the pain behind your eyes. They see an opportunity. You think they'll listen, but most people are just waiting for their turn to talk. They're waiting for you to stop so they can share their own tales of woe or make a move. You're not building trust by revealing your weaknesses. You're just handing over a piece of your power. You think you're exposing the truth, but you're making yourself vulnerable to manipulation. In my world, vulnerability was dangerous. I'd been taught to keep my poker face steady to control the narrative. I learned quickly that telling the wrong person the wrong thing could mean losing everything. People in those high-stakes games, they didn't want to hear about your problems. They wanted to know how much you could lose without breaking, how much you were willing to risk, how much they could take from you without you even realizing it. And it's the same in life. You don't win by showing people your pain. You win by showing them your resilience, your composure, your ability to move forward no matter what. You think you need to be open, to share your burdens, to be understood? Maybe. But here's the reality: the world doesn't owe you understanding, it owes you strength. So keep your problems close, hold your struggles in the quiet corners of your mind. Let the world see the version of you that's tough, that's sharp, that doesn't bend in the wind. Let them watch you rise, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you. Because in the end, the ones who truly matter, the ones who are worthy of your trust, they'll see your strength and understand your silence. Don't let anyone have a piece of your power, not unless you're ready to take their game on. And trust me, most people aren't even worth playing against. When you share your problems with others, you often believe that you're opening up and showing your vulnerability, expecting empathy and understanding in return. But in reality, most people aren't looking to connect with your pain. They're not looking to see things from your perspective or offer real support. Instead, they see an opportunity, a way to use your struggles to their advantage. It's easy to assume that by sharing your deepest frustrations or fears, you'll form a bond, a connection based on mutual understanding. You think that by being open, others will care enough to listen and offer advice or sympathy. But what often happens is that people listen just enough to pick up on weaknesses, on where you're hurting, and then they begin to calculate how they can use that information. Whether consciously or subconsciously, they might exploit what you've shared to manipulate the situation, gain favor, or even take advantage of your vulnerability. The world doesn't always work in the way we expect. People are quick to position themselves in a way that benefits them, and when you show them your problems, you risk giving them the tools to control you or steer the conversation in their direction. They're not necessarily bad people, but they're driven by their own agendas, their own goals, and your issues might become a tool for them to achieve those. This is why you often hear that you can't trust everyone with your pain. It's not that people are inherently uncaring, but rather that they may not be able to truly understand your experience. They can't see your pain the same way you feel it, and their reactions may be more about them than about you. The compassion you expect might not come because at the end of the day, they might just be trying to figure out how they can use your situation for their own benefit. In high-stakes environments, vulnerability is like a ticking time bomb. When you open up about your struggles, you're not always met with the support or empathy you hope for. Instead, your vulnerability becomes a weakness in the eyes of others, a door through which people can manipulate or exploit you. It doesn't matter how well-intentioned you are or how honest you try to be. Once you reveal your struggles, you risk inviting people to take advantage of them. The reality is that vulnerability creates an opening, a gap that others can use to their advantage. When you're in a position where power dynamics are constantly shifting, whether it's in a business setting A personal relationship or a high-stakes poker game exposing your emotions or weaknesses can be a dangerous gamble. People in these environments are often calculating, focused on securing their own position or winning, and your vulnerability may be seen as an opportunity for them to gain an upper hand. It's easy to think that sharing your hardships will create a connection, that people will understand and step in to help. But often, it doesn't work that way. The more you reveal about your weaknesses, the more you risk giving others the ammunition they need to undermine you. They may not attack you outright, but subtly they can chip away at your confidence, your sense of security, or your standing. And what was meant to be an honest exchange could turn into a way for someone to control you or push you into a weaker position. In these environments where stakes are high and everyone is playing their own game, showing too much of your hand can make you a target. The less others know about your vulnerabilities, the less they have to use against you. So while vulnerability can feel like a release, like a way to share the weight you carry, it can also open the door to exploitation, exposing you to risks that you never even considered. The truth is, the world doesn't owe you understanding. In a world that's constantly moving, where everyone is focused on their own struggles and ambitions, expecting others to understand your difficulties is unrealistic. People might listen to your problems, but they aren't obligated to feel the weight of them in the way that you do. The world is indifferent to your pain. It doesn't pause to give you sympathy or validation, it just keeps moving forward, often leaving you to pick up the pieces. We grow up thinking that sharing our burdens will create connections, that others will step in to help us carry the load. But the harsh reality is that sympathy is a rare currency, and many people have their own battles to fight. Expecting others to fix what's broken in you is not only unfair to them, but it's also a failure to acknowledge your own strength. The truth is, the world owes you nothing, not understanding, not help, not validation. What it owes you is the opportunity to prove your resilience, to show that you can rise even when the odds are stacked against you. Relying on others to understand your struggles can leave you vulnerable. People may not have the capacity to help or may not be in a position to offer real support. The only person who truly has the power to change your situation is you. The sooner you accept that others aren't going to fix your problems for you, the sooner you can begin to rely on your own ability to navigate them. Strength isn't about seeking validation from others, it's about finding the resolve within yourself to move forward, despite the obstacles. Expecting the world to understand your struggles only sets you up for disappointment. It can make you feel isolated, like you're fighting a battle that no one else sees or cares about. But the reality is, your strength comes from within. It's in your ability to keep moving forward when no one is watching, when no one is there to offer a shoulder to lean on. The world doesn't owe you understanding, it owes you the chance to prove that you can face what comes your way, no matter how difficult. When you speak to others about your struggles, don't expect to be met with genuine listening and understanding. More often than not, people are more focused on themselves than on your problems. They're not really absorbing what you're saying or trying to understand the depth of your experience. Instead, they're just waiting for their moment to speak, for their opportunity to shift the focus back to themselves. It's not that they don't care, it's simply that at their core, most people are preoccupied with their own lives, their own thoughts, and their own agendas. This happens all the time in conversations, especially in environments where people are jockeying for position or trying to protect their own interests. When you open up, you might think you're creating a meaningful exchange, but what's often happening is that the other person is simply biding their time until it's their turn to share their own struggles, their own opinions, or their own narrative. They hear your words, but they're not really listening. They're just using the opportunity to reflect on how your situation compares to their own, or worse, they're thinking about how they can use what you've shared to push their own agenda forward. And here's the danger while you're being open and vulnerable. They might not just ignore what you're saying, they could be actively storing your words to manipulate the situation in their favor later. What you thought was a moment of connection could be used as ammunition against you, or worse, a way to subtly undermine you when it benefits them. They may take your vulnerability, twist it, and turn it into a way to control the narrative or protect their own interests. People by nature are self-interested. It's not necessarily malicious, but in a world where everyone is looking out for their own survival or success, genuine empathy can be in short supply. You could be pouring your heart out thinking you're being heard, but in reality they might be more focused on how they can leverage what you've said for their own benefit. Whether it's gaining an edge in a conversation, obtaining information to use in their favor, or just simply seeking validation for their own problems, the truth is that most people aren't as concerned with your story as you might hope. When you open up about your struggles, you might think that sharing them will create a sense of relief or bring you closer to others. But the truth is, every time you reveal your vulnerabilities, you risk giving away a part of your power. People may not see your admission of struggle as a way of seeking help. They might see it as an opportunity to gain leverage over you. Once you share your weaknesses, they're no longer private. They're out there for others to use, interpret, or even manipulate against you. When your challenges are known, they become a part of the narrative others create about you. You lose control over how people perceive you, and once that narrative is in motion, it's difficult to take it back. By keeping your problems to yourself, you maintain full control over how you present yourself to the world. You decide what aspects of your life you allow others to see, and you reserve the right to reveal or conceal the details that could make you appear weak or vulnerable. The power lies in your ability to hold back, to choose what you share and when. When you withhold your struggles, you maintain the upper hand. You keep the cards close to your chest. The less others know about your weaknesses, the less they have to use against you. When you're not transparent about your challenges, people can't exploit them for their gain. They don't have the ammunition to weaken your position, and they can't manipulate your narrative. Maintaining this control over your vulnerabilities also helps protect your strength. If you're constantly seeking validation or sympathy, you undermine your own resilience. You're handing your strength over to others, hoping they'll affirm it for you, instead of cultivating your own inner resolve. By holding onto your problems, you're signaling to the world that you are strong enough to handle them on your own. You don't need others to validate your struggles because you're already validating yourself. Protecting your power isn't about being secretive or dishonest. It's about making conscious choices about what to share and with whom. It's about understanding that by keeping certain parts of yourself private, you maintain control over your narrative and your identity. When you give away too much, you risk allowing others to define you and your strength. But when you protect what you hold inside, you maintain your autonomy and the power to decide who gets to be a part of your journey. In the face of adversity, it's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to share your struggles, to express how tough things are and how much you're suffering. But when you constantly showcase your vulnerabilities, you risk being perceived as weak. People may not recognize your pain for what it is. They might only see your inability to overcome it. Vulnerability can sometimes be misinterpreted as a lack of resilience, and in environments where strength is valued, this can be a dangerous position to put yourself in. Instead of putting your weaknesses on display, focus on showing your ability to rise above them. Life isn't about avoiding struggles, it's about how you face them and what you do once you've fallen. Strength is found not in how loudly you can express your pain, but in your ability to move forward despite it. Resilience isn't about ignoring your problems or pretending they don't exist. It's about handling them quietly and with determination, even when no one is watching. People respect those who push through hardship with dignity and resolve, those who don't let life's difficulties define them. When you show resilience, you maintain control over your narrative. People watch how you handle challenges, not just the challenges themselves. If you let them see you crumble, they might write you off as someone who can't handle the heat. But if you demonstrate that you can weather the storm, come out stronger, and keep moving forward, you maintain the upper hand. It's in these moments of adversity where true strength shines. By focusing on resilience, you show that no matter what life throws at you, you will find a way to move forward and keep pushing toward your goals. Resilience doesn't require grand gestures. It's in the quiet strength of continuing to show up, even when things aren't going your way. It's about finding a way to keep going, even when the odds are against you. And when others see that strength in you, it's contagious. You inspire respect and admiration, not sympathy. You show them that you're in control no matter what obstacles may arise, and in doing so, you protect your integrity and your power. Showing resilience, not weakness, ensures that you're seen as someone who can be relied on, someone who stands tall in the face of adversity. Trust isn't something that's handed out freely, nor is it something you can expect to earn just by being open or vulnerable. The reality is that true trust is built over time through actions, not words. You can share every detail of your life, every struggle, and every fear, but that doesn't automatically create trust. It might create a moment of connection, but it doesn't necessarily lead to lasting trust. Trust is earned through consistency, reliability, and shared experiences, not through unloading your burdens onto others in hopes that they'll respond with understanding or sympathy. The people who truly matter in your life, those who will stand by you when times get tough, will understand your strength through the way you navigate life, not through how much you reveal about your weaknesses. They'll see the choices you make, the way you handle adversity, the way you rise after setbacks. Trust is not about what you share, but about what you do in the face of challenges. It's about being someone who acts with integrity, who stands firm in their values, and who doesn't crumble under pressure. People trust those who show resilience, who keep their word, and who demonstrate through their actions that they are reliable and capable of handling whatever comes their way. Confessing your problems might make you feel vulnerable, but it doesn't guarantee you'll be met with trust. In fact, when you share too much too soon, it can actually push people away, especially if they feel they don't have the tools to help, or if they see you as someone who is constantly in need. Real trust comes from mutual understanding and shared moments of hardship, where both people have proven their reliability and strength in the relationship. It's built on actions that show you can be counted on, not just on words that express your struggles. The truth is, trust grows from experiencing life together, from standing by someone when things are tough, and from showing that you can be depended on even when the situation isn't easy. It's earned by showing your true character through your actions, not through verbal confessions. When you keep your personal burdens to yourself, you maintain control over your narrative, and the people who are truly worthy of your trust will respect you for your ability to handle life with strength and dignity, not because you've revealed every detail of your pain,